Senate Democrats are putting Republicans on defense, or at least trying to, on the issue of abortion ahead of the first anniversary this week of the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision. With 14 Republican-run states now banning most abortions and putting restrictions into place, this has become, of course, a big campaign issue. Democrats on Capitol Hill want to force a vote to ensure access to contraception and birth control and guarantee that women can travel across state lines for reproductive health care.
Women are forced to stay pregnant against their will, even when their health and lives are at risk. Women are not going to settle for a country where men in state legislatures are taking away their fundamental freedom to decide what happens to their bodies.
And joining me now is Democratic Senator Patty Murray of Washington State, the chair of the Appropriations Committee, and, of course, serves on the Health Committee as well. And this is an enormous issue for the country, Senator. How do you manage to force a vote? You need 100 senators, including Republicans, for unanimous consent to get it to the floor.
That's right. We're going to the floor today to offer what's called a unanimous consent on a number of different bills to help protect the rights of women in this country. Republicans have a choice. They can object and not allow us to proceed, but we believe this is a fight that we have to be visible on. A year ago, Roe was overturned and women's rights were ripped away from them, and the chaos that has ensued and the impact to women and their health care is overwhelming. We are going to stand up and fight for women and show everyone's at stake and invite everyone to be a part of this critical battle in our country.
Talk to me about the substance of the bill or the bills that you want to vote on today. Is it a federal right to abortion, or where are you going with it?
Well, what we have seen since Roe was overturned is chaos in this country, where a number of states are writing laws and impacting women in really restrictive ways. For example, state legislatures that are considering making it illegal for a woman to cross state lines to get access to health care. So one bill will be to protect women's right to travel in this country. We are seeing the right to contraception being attacked across this country, and states threatening to take away the right for women to access contraception. We are offering an amendment that will allow women in this country simply the access to contraception. We are seeing women who are being tracked on apps on their phone for their personal information when they travel to get access to abortion care, and we're going to try and make it illegal for companies to use that data and that privacy to then go after a woman who has access to health care that she has chosen. So these are a number of steps that we are taking because this is happening in state legislatures, and we want every woman in this country, in the United States of America, to be able to access this care and not have these dangerous things applied to them.
I want to play something that the Vice President said on with Joy Reid last night, right here on MSNBC, about abortion in the context, of course, the 2024 election.
It so fundamentally is about freedom. Mm-hmm. Freedom. I think there's a piece of this also that underlying it all is, hey, trust women. Trust them to know what is in their best interest. What are we saying? That a bunch of people in a state capital in Washington, D.C. are in a better position to make a decision for her?
Should the president be talking more about this, or is it okay just to have the vice president carrying this around into the campaign?
Look, I think it's fantastic that the vice president is talking about the reality of the overturn of Roe and the impact on voters across this country, on their health and on their choices and on their freedoms in this country. And I expect we will continue to hear the president make the like argument. But this is something people are paying attention to, because for a long time, Roe was the law of the land. If you became pregnant or were having a miscarriage, or, these kinds of issues were impacting you, you didn't have to worry about it being public. Now people realize that this is impacting them. They need to stand up and fight for these things. And we're going to be their voice, continue to be that voice. And we ask everyone in this country to stand up and make a decision at the polls so that we can have the votes here in Congress to reinstate Roe and allow you to make your own health care choices again.
And very briefly, what do you say about Senator Tuberville holding up all military promotions just because the defense secretary is permitting women in the military to cross borders and get paid for if they need reproductive health?
Well, let's talk about what he is doing. The military makes sure that if a woman is on a military base in a state where there is no access to health care because of that state legislature, that the military itself will take care of that woman and her access. Say a woman has a miscarriage and is in a state that has one of these laws, to make sure that she can travel to another state to take care of her own health care. Or she's raped, make sure that she gets access to that. Senator Tuberville is taking the extreme position that he is not allowing anyone to be promoted in the military. Often these positions have to be approved by the Senate until that's taken away. We say not on our watch. Absolutely, the military is doing the right thing. We ask women to serve in our military. We tell them we will help them with their health care. We are not going to deny their access to health care in these critical cases.
Senator Patty Murray, thank you so much. Appreciate your being here.